What's going on, everybody? It's KBR Sports, the best sports podcast, your 24-hour day with your host, Brendan Abbin. Welcome everybody to the KBR Sports Podcast. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in for the podcast, as y'all normally do. It's always appreciated for sure, and got a lot of sports news to talk about. I mean, it's tough to cover it all with how much is going on now. It seems like the NBA, NFL, college football, all that stuff is always booming with news to always consistently talk about. So it's enjoyable, but at the same time, it's like you have to kind of pick and choose what areas you want to target or what specific points you want to touch on, just because there's so much to talk about and you don't want to miss over any of the most interesting stuff. So definitely want to get into a lot of the sports news from the past week and stuff I didn't get to touch on last week. But make sure you guys go and follow, first and foremost, KBR Sports on iTunes, Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, and so on. That way you'll get notified whenever the KBR Sports Podcast is streaming live or when a new episode is posted. And also don't forget to follow the KBR Sports Twitter page at KBR_sports, as well as sharing and liking any of your favorite episodes of the KBR Sports Podcast, because it's always appreciated in order to get the word out there about the podcast, y'all. I always appreciate that, for real. It's definitely a movement to try and get the KBR Sports Podcast out there. For those of you who regularly tune in, I always appreciate that. So yeah, just keep doing your part and always sharing and liking the KBR Sports Podcast. But guys, first thing I wanted to get to from over the sports weekend, probably the biggest news of the sports weekend was my ODU alumni pulling off the big upset of beating number 13 Virginia Tech 49-35. It's the biggest upset in FBS history. I mean, ODU had a 1.8% chance to beat Virginia Tech. They were 27.5 point underdogs. And it was crazy. I mean, throughout the game, it was like going back and forth all throughout. I don't think ODU had its first lead until midway in the third quarter towards the end. And it was just such an exciting game to watch as an alumni. I mean, y'all should have seen the videos on Instagram, on Twitter. People were going crazy in Norfolk, the celebrations and everything like that. My Twitter feed was literally just, I mean, I'm an ODU alumni, so of course I follow other ODU alumni, and it was just crazy seeing all the feedback, all the excitement and everything like that, everybody going crazy. I mean, I even had people coming up to me today congratulating me. For those who knew I went to ODU, people were congratulating me, giving me pats on the back, telling me, oh man, you guys did it. And it was just an overwhelming feeling of excitement and hype, just because of the fact that ODU was 0-3 before this game. ODU was 0-3, lost to FCS team in Liberty, got destroyed by Liberty actually. Like Liberty put up 51 points. I think ODU had like 25, and it was definitely not a good game on ODU's part. But then they lost other games to like FIU and Charlotte by like 3 points in total between both teams, and it was just tough losses back and back again each week, and then to come out and be the team to beat Virginia Tech when nobody predicted that they're going to win Virginia. I mean, the 1.8% chance to beat them shows it all. I mean, they're the first team to beat an AP top 15 team when entering the game 0-3 since the 0-3 North Carolina defeated number 6 Florida State 41-9 in 2001. I mean, think about that, guys. It's been 17 years since that happened. This is the biggest upset since the FBS ranking system started 14 years ago. So when you see how big of an upset this was, you can understand when you see people getting really excited if that went to ODU, and other people that just excited in general. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff going on of people saying that ODU is now the best football school in Virginia and stuff like that. So it was pretty awesome just getting a chance to see those kind of things and being an alumni of the school. I mean, it was pretty cool seeing your school trend all over social media, people going crazy. I mean, Norfolk, the scene in Norfolk, I tell you, I can imagine what the parties were like there. I wish I was back in undergrad for some of that at times, that I could have just experienced that. It was definitely cool. I mean, even the quarterback, I mean, this is how real it was for me, just realizing, man, how I went to the school, because the quarterback, Blake LaRussa, who they switched to midway through the game, I was in class with him. We were in a group study class together. We were in a coaching class, and he was a freshman when I was in that class. And it was funny because he was working with me in a group project and stuff like that. And it was just interesting to see how things come full circle, and now he's leading the ODU comeback. He led them to this win and everything, and it's just great to see, especially knowing people personally still that go to the school and having had personal relationships with each of those people and stuff like that. I mean, he was jacked up about the win, and you just see those kind of things and you can't help but be super excited for them, and obviously for the rest of the ODU students, the fan base and everything, alumni. So my tips of the cap to ODU for pulling off that major upset. Definitely not a feat to go understated. But guys, let me move on to my next topic, where I want to start off with saying this about winning championships and just how tough it is to win a championship. So for people who don't know about what it goes into winning and pulling off a championship season, there are 3 keys to it. And I'll start off with one, breaking each one down. Number 1, health. Being healthy is probably the biggest key to winning a championship and being a championship contender and having the roster in the postseason after that deep postseason run and after the regular season to be able to win a championship. If you look at the specter of different sports of how big health has played a role, you can see how it affects it. In basketball, you can see when Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love were out, LeBron went into the finals by himself essentially with the ragtag crew of Cleveland Cavaliers players, and they were able to take the Golden State Warriors 6 games, but they ended up losing because LeBron, for one, didn't have enough help, and it seems wasn't talented enough. But a lot of people say if he had Kyrie and Kevin Love, then they could have won the championship. Now, fast forward to the 73-9 Golden State team. Steph Curry came into that finals series a little bit gimpy and injured, and he wasn't at 100%, and they ended up losing the 73-9 series to Cleveland. If you look at the times when LeBron was on the Heat with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, there were times when Dwayne Wade wasn't at full strength, and he had to sit out games. He wasn't his prime self in the finals because of his health. So you have to have a healthy squad to be able to make a run to the playoffs. I mean, imagine if Kevin Durant or Steph Curry, I mean, the Warriors are the team that everybody presumes is going to win the finals. But if there's one injury to that core, I'm pretty sure everybody's predictions are going to be different. A lot of people have the Boston Celtics coming out of the Eastern Conference to win the championship, possibly. But we obviously saw last season not having Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward changes things a bit. So when you see how big injuries impact the game, you have to really take those into account in terms of how they're going to play out and how they're going to have an impact on the season. And when you even look at the NFL right now, what our current situation is, we're sitting here with right now the number 1 Super Bowl contending team, or the favorites are the Los Angeles Rams. The news came down today after yesterday's game that Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters could both possibly miss weeks of action, with Marcus Peters having a calf injury and Aqib Talib having an ankle injury. And Marcus Peters is more so day-to-day, but it remains to be seen what the extent of his injury is going to be. Aqib Talib is going to seek a second opinion, but we're still waiting to see it, because if the Rams aren't fully healthy, are they the most likely team to get to the Super Bowl? Just like the Tom Brady-led New England Patriots, they have to be healthy. Right now, Julian Edelman's suspended. They've had injuries to their offensive line. They have to be healthy in order to make that run. That's why you see the NFL instituting all these rules to protect quarterbacks, because once the quarterback gets hurt, that kills your chances to make a run to the Super Bowl. And if the quarterback is hurt, then your run, like Aaron Rodgers, when he went down last year, that butchered Green Bay's chances of making it to the Super Bowl. Entirely killed it. And I think there was this season, there was a point in time throughout the year when everybody was worried when Aaron Rodgers took that knee injury and he had to limp off. He got taken off on the cart. I remember I told my girlfriend, I was like, man, we can't go through another season without Aaron Rodgers. Like, it can't happen. He has to be healthy. We just can't have a situation like that. Now you see a team like the 49ers where you had a scope of what their season was going to be. The scope has entirely changed for that team. Now you're imagining they're going to be a bottom-out team, probably going to try and accrue draft picks and try and have a better chance of improving their roster for next season when they bring back Jimmy Garoppolo. The whole scope has changed when you have an injury affect your team. So now, when you're sitting back looking at it, what makes a team a contender, you want to make sure it's a team that stays healthy consistently and is able to make the run to keep guys healthy, and it has enough depth that if they do face an injury, they're able to still bear out and win despite the injury that they had. Bring in the Philadelphia Eagles. Despite the loss of Carson Wentz last year, they were able to pull off a Super Bowl win, and Nick Foles was able to lead them to that promised land. So those are all keys to winning a Super. That's the number one key to winning a Super Bowl. Now, number two, you have to have the talent. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is just obvious to everybody. You have to have the talent. And talent isn't just what's on the field. That goes as deep as coaching, as deep as management. You have to have the pieces in place to reel off that Super Bowl win, to manage that Super Bowl team. So when you look at a team like the Patriots might not always be the most talented team, but they have the talent where it counts. The Patriots, they probably went out on talent in most cases when it comes to the quarterback. We know they went out in talent in almost every case when it comes to the coach. And then whether you want to say when it comes to lines and everything like that, that's when it gets a little bit more murky. It's a big deal when we're talking about talent and having that roster. Right now, Golden State is the prohibitive favorites to win the title every year because they have the best starting lineup probably in NBA history. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, and then DeMarcus Cousins. Once Boogie comes back, if Boogie comes back healthy like he was before, my gosh, guys, if he's any bit like the Boogie Cousins that we know from before, he's not going to put up the same numbers. But the fact that he could be the same player with those other four guys, oh my goodness, that's just not even fair for the league. It's an all-star team. That is an all-star team right now. So you have to really sit back and think about what talent means to having a roster that can vie for a championship. Now, the pieces have to fit, mind you, and the coach has to make that all blend together. Because we all saw what happened in 2010 or 2009 when the Dream Team Philadelphia Eagles were put together. They had so much talent. Everybody saw it that way. And it ended up bottoming out because they just didn't mesh well. The talent didn't fit the scheme that they wanted to play in defense. A lot of stuff just wasn't rubbing the right way. So talent plays a big role in if you're that team that's going to be able to make that run to go to the Super Bowl. And right now, if you look at the teams that have the talent, as you look at teams like the Vikings, you're looking at a team like the Eagles, you're looking at the Rams, you're looking at the Chiefs, you're looking at the Steelers, the Patriots. You're looking at these teams because talent is, like I said, it's not just on the field. Your coaching can make up for a lack of talent in a lot of ways. And so when you're looking at these teams, you have to really grade them out in terms of if they fill out all three categories. And the last category that I have marked is for the culture. Your culture, your team culture has to be a championship culture or your team's going to fall apart. If your locker room is not strong, then it's going to be tough when you're going through adversity to go and reel off a number of wins or to pull out a tough game or to rally back from a deficit in a game where is high stakes. If you don't have that championship brawn, that championship persona, that swagger about your team and that cohesion on your team, whenever adversity strikes, you guys are going to crumble. And I mean, right now, there's only about a couple of teams right now that I could see have exhibited that championship culture, at least so far in the season, that they seem as though they are ready to face adversity if it were to hit. The Rams, ready to face adversity if it were to hit. And it has hit in the form of injuries to two of their best defensive players. The Chiefs, they're ready for adversity if it were to hit. But they're riding high right now on Patrick Mahomes, on the coaching of Andy Reid, and the talent they have on offense. The Chiefs' defense is not good at all. It's not proven to be great at whatsoever. But because of the play of their second-year quarterback, who hasn't thrown an interception yet and has thrown 13 touchdowns to date, that's why these guys are flying high. And because they know what they're playing for. They're not playing to get Patrick Mahomes' numbers up. They're just playing to maximize the best capabilities of their offense with the talent that they have. The Patriots have always had a championship culture. While things have been a little rattled recently, they still have always had that culture. Everybody that goes to New England says it's just a little bit different than every other place you'll play at. And that's just the facts. Now you see other teams, Seattle fell apart. They had a championship culture. Then the goal line play happened with Marshawn Lynch and then the Malcolm Butler interception. They fell apart. They crumbled. They didn't make it back to another Super Bowl. That team broke apart. The Legion of Boom was good enough to win more than one Super Bowl ring. When you have a defense like that, you're supposed to at least win 2 rings. And that team couldn't get it done. And they fell apart because of distrust within the locker room for the coach. And you started hearing dissension and stuff like that coming out of that locker room. And then we saw the result that came forth. Now we don't know what kind of team Seattle is. We have no idea what the identity is. You can ask the championship culture questions about the Steelers, honestly. I know they just won the Monday Night Football game. But when you're seeing all this drama going on about Le'Veon Bell and then offensive linemen speaking against him when they're supposed to be teammates, him going back. It's so much stuff going on there. You can start to see the locker room start to fracture. And you start to literally see that divide happen. Where people start asking the question, how are things going to be when Le'Veon Bell comes back? How is he going to be able to mesh back in the team if he has to come back? If he doesn't get traded, how do you come back? Those kind of questions are just distractions that take you away from the main goal of the team. It's not one of those things that people can just say that doesn't affect them. It's like when you and your friend get into an argument and you see each other after that big, huge fight and you try to act like nothing is wrong. Yeah, you might be able to get through it for a little while, but it ends up coming back and rearing its ugly head in the worst moments. So that's one of those things that your championship culture and your health, your talent, all those things have to combine together to make a winning, contending Super Bowl team. And if you ask me right now, the team that is most likely to have embodied the combination of all 3 things, I have to say it's the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, right now, granted, they don't have the best health. Okay, I will say health-wise, Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters being out is a big blow to them. But even besides those 2 guys not being there, they're still more talented than half the people in the league. Than most teams in the league, they're still just as talented. The front line that they have, the front 7, arguably the best in the league. And then you look at their offensive weapons. You look at the coaching, the innovativeness of the coaching. Wade Phillips as a coordinator, everything. The Rams just seem to have the total package. I think the biggest question a lot of people have with the Rams is Jared Goff. People wondering if he's a system quarterback and if he's really the quarterback that can lead them to the promised land. And so far this season, he's been that guy. He has over 70% completion percentage. I think he's thrown 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And the guy's just been playing lights out with how he's been leading that offense. So you can only tip your cap off to the guy because he's been doing his job and making sure this team is suited to be able to make a run to the Super Bowl. They have the talent, they have the health, they have the culture. Now, a lot of people are saying Kansas City's the best team in the league right now, but Kansas City can't guard dry paint. It's beyond a pale to me because every single game Kansas City plays in, it's a shootout. Patrick Mahomes is playing amazing, but if he doesn't play that well, Kansas City won't win. Patrick Mahomes has to throw over 3 touchdowns or more for them to have a chance in the game because their defense isn't stopping anybody. Truthfully. So when you're seeing that, you can't go against Kansas City to be the best team because if you can't stop somebody as well as you can score, then what are we talking about? I know the Cardinals aren't the best team, but the Rams shut them out. The Rams put a dominant display on the Chargers in all facets of the game, in the offense, defense, and special teams. The Rams are just the most complete team right now in the league. They put it on the Raiders in the first game, in that second half particularly. And then when you look at other teams like the Vikings, the other teams just don't have all 3 facets of the game like the Rams do. If you want to go to the Vikings, offensively, are they better than the Rams? No. I would say not. No. Defensively, you can make an argument that both teams are about even on defense. And if you want to look at the statistics, you can pull them up and it'll bear it out. They're about even on defense. And then special teams, the Rams have the edge in both facets of special teams, so the nod will go to the Rams. Packers, okay, you can say that you want to make an argument about Aaron Rodgers, but they haven't played like they're better than the Rams so far. The Patriots, no. The Eagles, no. Now Carson Wentz, this was his first game back, so we have yet to see how the Eagles will perform. But so far, the Rams have been the best team in football, and their 3-0 record indicates that. So that's just something I wanted to touch on when we're starting to break down. A lot of people are giving high praise to the Chiefs and elevating the Chiefs up as that new up-and-coming team that with Patrick Mahomes is going to be the Super Bowl favorite. But just got to pump the brakes some guys and realize there's a lot of things that go into winning a championship, and your level of competition does bear it out some. And the Chiefs have a level of inexperience in the playoffs guided by that young quarterback. The Rams made it there last year. They lost, but they made it there last year and realized what playoff football is. So it's going to be interesting to see what teams end up kind of stringing together a couple of wins here and there. Because right now the Rams are 3-0, the Chiefs are 3-0. It's going to be interesting to see. Everybody else is, for the most part, lost. So it's going to be interesting to see how people start to try to string together wins to try and make a run at the Super Bowl, try to be as healthy as they can to try and make that run. I mean, some guys are going to be coming back throughout the middle of the season. The Patriots are going to be getting Julian Edelman back after next week. You're going to see Jameis Winston coming back from the Bucs, and a lot of different pieces are going to be coming back for some teams. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But guys, I want to go to my first break, and obviously, of course, in this break, I just want to talk about my friends Fanatics. Fanatics, guys, is the best clothing brand in sports apparel and memorabilia. I mean, guys, you can get it all with Fanatics for any sport. It can be the NFL, it can be the NBA, it can be MLB, no matter what it is. Fanatics is the answer for you. If you want to get jerseys, baseballs, bats, all that, you get the best items and clothing with Fanatics. So guys, make sure you go give a call to 954-507-6928. And if you haven't already, I just don't know what you're waiting on, because if you bought a jersey, if you bought a hat, if you bought any kind of apparel item, you're essentially paying full price for stuff that you could honestly get at a lowered price by giving a call to that number. So guys, make sure you don't miss out on your chance to get lowered prices on your items through Fanatics. I mean, what kind of company offers you that kind of benefit whenever you give a call to a specific number? Kind of crazy, right? All right, guys. So jumping into my next topic, I wanted to talk about just some of the biggest news coming out of the NBA is that Jimmy Butler now wanting a trade out of Minnesota, which is pretty crazy. I mean, when I thought about the Timberwolves last year, I mean, think about where we were a year ago before Jimmy Butler's trade requests and everything like that. We were in a situation where we knew Jimmy Butler was getting traded to the Timberwolves. People were thinking the Timberwolves were going to be the best young team in the league, and they were predicting, oh man, the Timberwolves are so good, they're going to be a top 4 seed in the West. And honestly, with Jimmy Butler, that's what they were. They were that good. They were in the top 4 seed in the Western Conference. Then Jimmy Butler, of course, got hurt, and then they kind of spiraled down, and then they ended up playing for their playoff spot in the last game of the season. So when you see that Jimmy Butler kind of requests this trade and that he wants to get out of Minnesota, you got to look at different factors that play a role in it. Now, everybody has a role that they play in the fact that the main guy of the team, besides Karl-Anthony Towns, wants to be gone. The culture, one of the things I talked about, obviously, is the culture set in the locker room by the young players. Now, one of the things that I understand where people come from when they talk about the Lakers is a side note, but when people talk about the Lakers and how they don't think that they're championship ready for the season, part of it is just culture and mentality. Young players prioritize something different than a guy who's been in the league for 8, 9, 10 years. Young players are prioritizing getting their stats up, trying to prove that they deserve that next big contract. And they aren't as willing to make the sacrifices to make the contributions to a winning team to try and vie for a championship when they know, hey, I still want to get paid. I want to get my money so that way I can secure the bag for future references. Now, you don't blame anybody for wanting to get their money. Of course not. You have to understand it from that vantage point. You want to play. You only have so much time to play in these sports leagues. As a professional athlete, you only have so many years to play. Especially if you're at the tip top of the game, you only have so many years where you'll be at that point in the game. So while you're there, you want to collect as much money as you can, so that way you don't have to worry about it as much later down the road. And so when you see a guy like an Andrew Wiggins or a Karl-Anthony Towns just trying to get their stats up, you kind of got to think of it twofold. It's easy just to criticize them and say these guys just don't care about winning. Now, sometimes it really is the case. Some guys really don't care about winning. Sometimes all they do care about is the money. They play for the money. And some of the rumblings were there that guys like Andrew Wiggins was playing for the money. And people questioned Andrew Wiggins' heart, and obviously there were rifts there between Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler. I mean, heck, when the report came out that Jimmy Butler requested a trade, Andrew Wiggins' brother tweeted on Twitter, hallelujah, in response to a tweet citing Jimmy Butler requested a trade. So you can already note that there was obviously friction there between those two. And then when it comes to Jimmy Butler and Karl-Anthony Towns, he cares about winning, but a lot of what people say about Karl-Anthony Towns is that he does care about his stats. He pays attention to the stat sheet, and he cares about how many touches and stuff he's getting, and just like he should. I mean, he's a really good player, so he should care about those things, but then it makes no sense that you care about the offensive stats, but you don't care as much on the defensive end. Because the minute Jimmy Butler was out the lineup, it's not like the Bulls were some stout defensive team when Jimmy Butler was in the lineup, but he made a big difference when he was in the lineup versus when he wasn't. The Timberwolves are one of the worst defensive teams in the league, arguably the worst, when Jimmy Butler was not in the lineup and Karl-Anthony Towns was on the court. So, as a big man, you probably control the most shots taken area of the paint of the floor, which is at the rim. You patrol that area of the court, and when the defense plummets because while you're on the court and the most shots are taken at your region of the court, and you're the one that's contesting and all that stuff, that's a problem. That is a problem. Now, I know a lot of things, obviously a lot more things go into defense, but learning how to play help defense, learning how to properly rotate and all that, all go into the art of playing defense. And if you are so focused on one end of the court versus the other, and obviously one side of the court does pay more than the other one, which is offense pays more than what defense gives you, then you're paying only attention to that, you're not fully dedicated to winning. There's been no championship team that has won where all the guys were not honed into winning, to playing defense. Now, it's different. There's a difference between being bought into playing defense and being able to play defense. Now, Kyrie Irving's ability to play defense might not match his willingness to play defense. He might be full-on willing to play defense, but you might just not be athletic enough to play defense at a high level. But you maximize your physical capacity to play defense. There's an entirely two different things. Karl-Anthony Towns is athletic enough to play defense, but paying the time in to learn how to guard off a back screen, how to guard off a cut, how to guard off a dump off, a give and go, all that stuff. Putting the extra time in film review and all that to learn how to guard against the simple plays in basketball, how to properly hedge, all those things matter. So when you see a guy that focuses more on the offensive end, I can understand how for a star player who is at the point in his career, he's in the prime of his career, and he's prioritizing winning a championship and wants to bring a championship to Minnesota, you can understand why he wants to request that trade out. Now, on the flip side, for Jimmy Butler, as opposed to the other guys, why they might not get along with him, because it's kind of tough when you're a young guy and you've been playing on this team for years, and the mantra has been the team is going to be built around you. The team is going to be focused around you. And then all of a sudden this guy gets traded from a coach that used to coach him, and it seems like that guy is the one that's now the leader of the locker room, is the head guy of the locker room, but he's not exactly just flagrantly the best player on the team, if that makes sense. Like, Jimmy Butler is the best player, but it could go either way between him and Karl-Anthony Towns. And so because he's not flat out the best player like a LeBron is or like a Kevin Durant is, it makes this weird dichotomy where it's like, okay, yeah, I should listen to you because you're the veteran, but at the same time, this team is built around me, and I'm probably the building block piece that they're going to want to go forward with years down the road. So that's why Minnesota is more so okay with moving off of Jimmy Butler, which is why now, the minute Jimmy Butler now is willing to be traded, Karl-Anthony Towns surprisingly just signs the huge extension. What do you know after he refused to sign it for months? Right? I'm pretty sure it's not coincidental. Or am I just missing something? So when we see those kind of things taking place, it's you kind of got to just look around and look at the culture of the locker room. I said that the culture of the locker room plays a big role. And I mean, a guy like Andrew Wiggins to me, he doesn't have any role in, like, his voice to me is very minimal, just because of the fact that people in the organization like had to force Andrew Wiggins to commit to wanting to play defense and maximize his ability as a player before they gave him the millions of dollars in the contract. Like, who has to? What? Who? What? Like, I feel like if you have a specific craft and it's your profession, something that you're supposed to love to do, you want to be the best that you can possibly be at it. Guys, y'all don't know how many podcasts, how many articles, how many tips, how many videos I watch to make sure I can produce the best podcast for you all that I do. I look up all the different stuff in terms of frequency, sound, all that stuff, in terms of time length of the podcast, all the different stuff to make the best podcast I can make for you all, content, all of it. Because I always want to hone the craft and get better at what I'm doing. But then, so for me, it doesn't make sense when a guy is in the prime position of what he wants to do, and you have the athletic ability, the talent. Andrew Wiggins came out of college at Kansas and was getting compared athletically to guys like LeBron. Like, come on. Getting compared athletically to LeBron James? And yet, he's not even close to being the best player on the Wolves. Not even in a shred of it. He's not even close. I mean, there was a point time last season he was complaining that he was the third option. Yeah. What do you mean? You're not better than Jimmy Butler. You're not a better defender. You're not a better offensive player. You're not better than Karl-Anthony Towns at all. You're not even close. So, like, what are you complaining about? Like, when the Wolves are in this position where they're stuck. Like, it's not like it's a leisure or it's a benefit. It's a blessing to have Andrew Wiggins. Like, to some extent, they're stuck with Andrew Wiggins. Like, if they had to choose between getting rid of Jimmy Butler and Andrew Wiggins, they probably would choose to get rid of Andrew Wiggins because he's not the better player. Jimmy Butler's the better player. But now they're stuck with that big contract that they gave him, and a lot of teams might not want to take that contract because they want to know he's bought in. So when you see these kind of things taking place, you can't just go at the first headline. You kind of got to learn about a lot of it, what's going on and everything like that. So it's a big struggle for these teams in terms of determining whether or not. Cause I saw even a report today that Tom Thibodeau tried to convince Jimmy Butler, hey man, don't leave, stay. But Jimmy Butler wasn't having it because he doesn't want to waste another year of his prime playing on a team that isn't serious about winning and doing what it takes to win. Now, Jimmy Butler's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. He's not perfect at all. There are things Jimmy Butler could get better at as a player and as a teammate as well, because there's no coincidence that you had issues with some people in the locker room in Chicago and then also in Minnesota. That has to be noted for sure. In fairness to Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. But more so speaking to Andrew Wiggins than Karl-Anthony Towns, it has to be noted that, dude, when the general manager has to freaking convince you to commit to saying you're going to play defense and improve your offensive game so he can pay you millions, dude, come on, man. Like, you just don't love the game if that's the case. You just don't love the game. That's simply as simple as it is. So I'm interested to see where Jimmy Butler's going to go. I mean, on his list, he had the Nets, the Knicks, and the Clippers. But I'm hearing teams like the Miami Heat and Cavaliers and other teams are interested in trading for Jimmy Butler. So I would definitely, it'd be interesting. I would love to come to Miami. I could watch him play all the time. He'd be reunited with Dwayne Wade's last season, and it wouldn't be a team on his list. But shoot, if Miami want to give away their picks and trade to get him, even if it's a 1-year rental, I'm all for it, because then I have exciting basketball to watch. I'm not against it. I am not against it. Jimmy Butler is that kind of player that if he's on your team cannot tank because he's too good for your team to tank, but he's not good enough to make your team NBA Finals contender. Now, I felt like a team like Minnesota, that was a perfect fit for him. A guy like he was supposed to be a perfect fit, at least, where you take a team that already has surrounding talent, put a guy like him in who's a two-way guard who can make plays for others and lock down the other team's best player in some instances. I felt like he was a perfect fit in there, but obviously it all didn't come together. And obviously health played a role in it too, because Jimmy Butler got hurt midway through last season. The Bulls fell down in seeding. So obviously you see how my 3 keys to a championship team come full circle when you're looking through each conference and looking through all the different teams. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how that all plays out with the Jimmy Butler saga and the whole thing with Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, the NBA Media Day was today, and obviously he wasn't reporting there. And funny enough, if you guys, this is really random, but if you all have not gotten a chance to go and watch Kawhi Leonard's laugh, please do yourself a favor and go do it. His laugh is literally hysterical. I love listening to it. It's so, oh my gosh. Like, he's just talking at Media Day, and he gives off his laugh, and it literally kills half the, like, it's been a meme on Twitter all day. Like, I don't think I've gotten enough of it. I've seen it in essentially everywhere. Like, it's the craziest thing. Like, here, guys, I'll play a snippet of it for you guys here on the show. So look, take a listen.
Basketball. I mean, there's just more questions you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about myself. I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at. And what?
Yo, Kawhi. Hey, man, let me move on to the next topic, man. Let me move on to the next topic. Oh, God, that laugh. I swear that laugh is great. This is one of the greatest laughs I've ever heard of. Guys, I'm going to run down through week 3 at the NFL season. Oh, gosh. Okay, guys. Let me start off with the Thursday night football game we had. I didn't get a chance to talk about Baker starting. I'm going to touch on it in quick detail, but, I mean, the Browns won 21-17 after Tyrod Taylor got knocked out with a concussion, and Baker Mayfield had to come in and get his first official NFL start, and now actually being named the starter after that game. I mean, Baker balled out. That's as simple as plain as that. Baker, he balled out. He was balling to prove his doubters wrong entirely, and you have to give your tip of the cap to him because Baker did his thing, man. I mean, I was really happy for him. I mean, I'm an Oklahoma, obviously rep ODU to the death of me, but Oklahoma is also my other college football team, and I loved Baker at Oklahoma. I mean, he put on a show week in and week out, and he definitely put on a show for everybody on Thursday Night Football. And then you're going to have some of those that are going to try and downplay it, saying, oh, it was the Jets with a rookie quarterback and all that stuff. And it's the same rookie quarterback. Half these people are like saying that should have been taken ahead of Baker at number 1. So let's not try and downplay this performance, try saying it's the Jets and all this stuff. The Jets still had a good defense. They still have a well-coached defense and all that Baker was tearing to shreds. His passes were accurate and everything. And granted, the Jets defense has no tape on Baker. They don't know what throws he can and cannot make in the NFL. They don't know what he's comfortable with. They don't know what kind of looks gives him the most trouble and stuff like that. So they were playing him off the fly. But his performance is still his performance. I mean, that's essentially what the case is for every rookie quarterback when they first play. Now, the game plan is they prepare for you, so maybe they could have watched more college tape on Baker to prepare for him. But essentially, most rookies are playing essentially with people not knowing. Patrick Mahomes right now, teams don't have as much tape to watch on Patrick Mahomes to know where his weaknesses are, so he's just gutting up teams because they don't know what looks to give them. So you got to be impressed with what Baker did on Thursday Night Football. It was a big win for the Browns. It was their first win in over 635 days. 2 years, guys. 2 years. Imagine if your football team did not win a game in 2 years. Sheesh. That's depressing, man. Cleveland. Yo, thank the Lord y'all had LeBron. Sheesh. Goodness gracious. And the Indians. Let me give credit to the Indians. But, goodness, 2 years. I couldn't imagine. I mean, I'm a Rams fan. And when the Rams are bad, I mean, they didn't go 2 years without winning a game. That's just terrible. But definitely, guys, I'm hoping Baker's the real deal. I think he's the real deal. He has that essence in him where he won't take the no for the answer for himself. He wants to prove people wrong. He wants to prove, hey, y'all doubt me, and y'all are going to be so wrong for doubting me. But sometimes you can want to prove people so wrong sometimes that you actually do more damage to yourself. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how Baker comes in this upcoming week and plays and puts on the performance. So I'm really interested to see that. Okay, moving on to the next game I got here on tap. Saints Falcons. Saints took this one 43-37. really exciting game. Came down to the wire in overtime. Drew Brees accounted for 5 touchdowns. Same with Matt Ryan. I mean, these guys are going back and forth. I had Drew Brees in fantasy, so thank the Lord heavens for Drew Brees. Drew Brees killed it. Had 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. I mean, the guy did his thing. So I was not complaining at all. Drew Brees, you came through, buddy. You came through, man. Okay, then looking at the 49ers and Chiefs game, obviously the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, that's enough said. Patrick Mahomes led them 38-27 in that win. He did his thing, threw 3 touchdowns, threw for over 300 yards, and obviously put them on a display once again. The guy, I mean, he led them to a 3-0 record right now. The only other team that's 3-0 next to the Rams and the Dolphins and so on. So it's a great performance by the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. You just want to wonder how long the apple cart can keep a rolling behind him as the quarterback, and how long they're going to go before he even throws a pick. That's going to be really interesting. Okay, so next game, Dolphins Raiders. Definitely, you got to give your cap to the Dolphins. I don't think a lot of people had them being 3-0 right now and having won 28-20 in this game. I mean, they even had, I was at this game, really exciting game, loved it, loved tweeting about it, having coverage throughout the game. It was a really exciting game to watch, and they even had their own version of the Philly specials, so it was really cool to watch. It was an enjoyable game. The crowd was raucous. A lot of Raider fans came out to support. Raider fans, man, y'all travel well. I'll give y'all credit. Y'all really do travel well. Down here in Miami, I saw so many Raider fans throughout the game and everything like that. Like, it was awesome to watch. So I definitely tip my cap to Dolphins right now, 3-0, 2-0 at home. You definitely deserve credit for your record. Bills, Vikings. Guys, I deserve some crow on this one. I'm not even going to lie to y'all, okay? I've said it on the past podcast episode. I said it. And I'm sticking by it, man. I don't care about the Bills winning one game. Now, Josh Allen, he came in, he balled out. He came in and balled out. Now, I give him credit. I think the Vikings played a bad game. That's when you put up 6 points with that kind of talent, with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Kevin Rudolph, and you put up 6 points? Nah, man. Nah. That's a bad game. That's a bad game. And for the Bills, I still got y'all losing every game. Y'all might not be 0-16, but you'll be 1-15. You got a good win. Here, you know what, Bills? I'm not even going to be Bills Mafia. I don't want y'all coming after me, okay? I'm going to give y'all credit. Here you go. You happy? You excited? You feel good about yourself? You want a cookie? Y'all did what you're supposed to do in the NFL, which is win games. Now let me see you do it again next week. Then we'll talk about something, because you already know I'm picking you to lose. So there's nothing to talk about. You know I'm picking you to lose no matter who you're playing. Y'all could play the Browns, the Jets, the Giants, Cowboys. I'm just waiting on it. All right. Or should I do the Kawhi laugh? Oh man, I can't. Kawhi, this is killing me, man. I'm gonna make that an audio meme on here, guys. I'm officially gonna make that an audio meme. That'd be great. All right, guys. Next game, Colts and Eagles. Eagles take it. It's Carson Wentz's first game back. His return. He threw his first touchdown pass of the season in this game. They took it 20-16. Obviously, the Colts, I mean, they haven't gotten in the flow ever since Andrew Luck has been back. Andrew Luck has not looked like himself. I mean, even on the last play, they had to bring in Jacoby Brissett to throw a 50-yard pass, which is kind of concerning, because if you're an NFL quarterback, you should be able to throw a 50-yard pass, bro. So you kind of wonder, is the shoulder fully healthy, or did they just not want him to have to stick in and take the hit for the throw, or what was the case? You know what I mean? So you kind of got to sit back and wonder with that situation, what if Andrew Luck, what is going on there? Because the Colts have not looked like the Colts prior to his injury. And granted, it does take time. It does take time to come back from injury. Carson Wentz did not look like his full self yet, but Carson Wentz did lead the Eagles to a victory, 2016. So give him credit. Eagles now 2-1, Colts 1-2. You give credit where credit is due. Now, Redskins, Packers. I'm pretty sure most people did not pick this game outright, unless you live in the state of Virginia and you reside near Washington D.C. or so. I'm pretty sure you did not pick Washington to win this game. But Washington was putting the hammer down on the Packers 31-17. Another controversial situation where we had Clay Matthews getting called for another roughing the passer penalty, and it came down to being a big controversial call, everything like that. Clay Matthews says the league's becoming more soft. He understands the spirit of the rule, but he understands the league is becoming more soft. Now, remember what I was telling you guys earlier about how big a deal health is in the league. You can lose a lot of players you can lose a lot of offensive weapons, you can lose a lot of defensive guys and stuff like that. Now, those all do play a part in how well your team performs. But most time, in every position outside of the quarterback, it depends. It's a culmination of losses. It's not just one guy getting hurt that ends up costing your team when it comes to like a Super Bowl. But if you lose the quarterback, everything goes to hell. It's all over. Your season's done. If Tom Brady got hurt tomorrow, it's over. It's done. There's no chance. Deshaun Watson, when he got hurt last season and hurt his leg, the Texans' chances of any hopes of making a playoff run drop dead right there. Unless your backup steps in Nick Foles fashion, yet no, it's not happening. It's not happening. Even when Tom Brady got hurt back in 2008, Matt Castle couldn't lead them to the playoffs. They had a great record. Matt Castle still couldn't lead them to the playoffs. So that's why part of the reason this rule is being instituted, to make sure the most important part on the field stays healthy. The quarterback stays healthy. These guys don't want an Aaron Rodgers collarbone injury. Now, some of these calls, don't get me wrong, they're excessive. They're weak to me. Do not take what I'm saying wrong. But I understand exactly why they're doing it, because you have to keep quarterbacks healthy. They're the biggest stars of the game. Most notable guys in the game. I mean, besides guys like OBJ, Antonio Brown, and so on, who are the biggest stars? Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, and Ben Roethlisberger, those guys are the biggest stars in the game. I'm pretty sure Aaron Donald could walk through Miami right now, and if people did not play the game if people were not football fans, probably half of football fans wouldn't recognize Aaron Donald walking through any kind of public center right now in Miami. But let it be Tom Brady, it's crazy. Aaron Rodgers, it's crazy. Ben Roethlisberger, probably crazy. And I just named 3 quarterbacks. Aaron Donald's probably the best defensive player in the game. I just gave you 3 quarterbacks. They would all be recognized in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. So that just shows how important the quarterback position is. Because even though I know we all tune in to watch our teams, the game's just a little bit better when we know that other quarterbacks is lining up healthy across the sideline as well. Okay, next game. Bengals-Panthers. Panthers took this one 31-21. If you had Cam Newton, I know you were happy in fantasy because he accounted for 4 total touchdowns, so he definitely did his thing. Titans-Jaguars. Man, this is an ugly game. Goodness. Titans won it 9-6. Sheesh. Gosh, damn, that's ugly. Oh my gosh, that is an ugly game. But if you had the Jaguars or the Titans defense in fantasy, I bet you were living. I know you were living. So both teams go to 2-1 after that game. The Ravens and the Broncos. Ravens win it 27-14, which makes both teams go to 2-1. Joe Flacco definitely playing a lot better after they drafted Lamar Jackson. He knows, I feel the fire burning. Sometimes you just need to get the Bunsen burner going. People start playing a whole different way. Start caring about the career in a whole different way. Giants and Texans. Okay, the Giants won this one 27-22, got their first win of the season. They go to 1-2 on the season. Texans fall to 0-3. Here are a lot of people asking the question, oh, Deshaun Watson isn't the same Deshaun Watson from last year, all this stuff. Now look, guys, watch the tape. Don't just make assertions and assumptions off of statistics. Go watch the tape and watch how much the rush Deshaun Watson is under more so this year than he was last season. Go look at how creative the play calling was last year versus this year. There's a lot of differences that you can't just fault on the back of Deshaun Watson. You have to actually put in the effort to go and watch the game, watch the tapes, and realize what the changes are in play calling and how much time he's getting and how much plays he has to make on his feet and on his own for them to even have a chance in games. Deshaun Watson's balling. Don't get me. He's not playing up to the same exact standard, but he's still playing really well. Just that he needs help. Like literally, he's creating everything for that offense right now. Everything. So let's not just make blanket statements about Deshaun Watson before we're actually doing the homework to back it up. Chargers-Rams. Rams won this one 35-23 in the Battle of LA. Chargers' presence in LA becoming a lot bigger. A lot of friends telling me that a lot of Chargers fans were coming out for that game, as opposed to where last season you would had a situation where it was just Rams fans and there was a dominant amount of Rams fans, whereas Chargers fans were not showing up. Chargers fans are definitely showing out a lot more now for the Chargers, and I know some fans still reside in San Diego, but a lot of guys are coming out to support the Chargers. But yeah, the Rams took this one, and they improved to 3-0, while the Chargers fall to 1-2. Obviously, I already noted Rams are my favorite, the best team. I mean, they're my favorite team too, but best team in football. And that's a completely objective take. I just choose the most well-rounded team, and the Rams are that team currently right now in football in terms of the defensive talent, the offensive talent, the coaching, special teams, and the whole nine. Okay, so now the Cardinals Bears. Once again, Khalil Mack. I see John Gruden all the time saying, man, I wish we had a pass rush, or we need to get a better pass rush. Man, if only I knew a guy. I feel like I'm going to end up saying this every week. I mean, gosh, if there was just a name on the top of my head, like a guy that gets a strip sack for a fumble every single game so far in the season, you know what I mean? Like, who knows, man. Man, it might be a guy wearing number 52 on the Bears. What's his name again? I feel like I said it earlier, but it's just not hitting me on the tip of my tongue, But I feel like that guy is the one who honestly has willed the Bears to their current record, because the Bears, they have not been impressive offensively at all. Let's just keep it a buck, what it is. And Khalil Mack, I mean, the plays he's made on defense have put the Bears in position to be able to have the record that they do have now. So, yeah, tip your cap off to them for sure. And then the Cowboys and Seahawks. Cowboys are bad. Like they're rough. It's rough to watch them play. Without a viable receiving threat, you get performances where you see Dak go for under like 200 yards or under 100. Like it's bad, man. Let's just keep it what it is. It's bad. And then you see the Seahawks. Like, neither of these teams are really good teams. It's just honestly what it is. Like, the Seahawks won this game, yeah, but it wasn't in impressive fashion. It wasn't one of those games where it was honestly a game that the Seahawks should have blown the Cowboys out. They won 24-13, but if you watch the game and the tempo of the game, it was just an ugly game. It was truly ugly. And it was one of those games where you realize, oh man, none of these teams can score, but like one team is just kind of getting plays here and there, so they're scoring that way, but neither team can really create anything, and it was just ugly. Okay, Patriots and Lions. Now, you want to talk about that feeling? That was the feeling I had with the Patriots. The Patriots just couldn't score. They couldn't do anything. Like, they were locked up. That was it. Tom Brady didn't really have any help. It was just rough. The Lions, I felt like I was watching Matthew Stafford go to like a cut to 1,000 knives. Like, he was just slicing up the Patriots defense inch by inch, yard by yard. It was really ugly. And the Patriots, I know they can't wait to get Julian Edelman back because they need more receiving help. I know they can't wait till Josh Gordon is able to lace up and play. And once he has an understanding of the playbook, and once he's actually just right, man, once he's right mentally and just physically, I know they're just waiting for it because they need the help, because Tom Brady, the guys aren't getting open. He doesn't have the weapons. And at some point, as the Tom Brady, when you're taking pay cuts consistently and this is why I'm always against guys taking pay cuts, because taking pay cuts sounds all good and dandy. It sounds like, oh yeah, you're doing what is necessary for the team. Man, bump all that. Now, granted, Tom Brady has a supermodel wife who makes more than he does. Great, awesome. But me, I'm a capitalist. I'm all about pocketing the money I can get in my bank account because nobody else is going to pay my bills once I'm done. So I'm going to pocket the money I need to pocket in my career. That's the general manager's job. That's the owner's job. Y'all got to find a way to put a team around me that can go ahead and get wins. And so when it comes to situations like Tom Brady, where he's sacrificing money for other guys to get paid so they can put guys on the roster, but then I'm throwing to Tweedledee and Tweedledum, what do you want me to do? People are pretty much triple teaming Rob Gronkowski, and then you got me throwing out here to the Muppets. Like, what is that? I can't do anything with that. I remember years ago when people criticized Kobe Bryant for getting paid max money, and he was literally the only attraction the Lakers had at the time, and then criticized the Lakers for giving him that contract. If Kobe would have took a pay cut, what situation would he have been in? Dirk Nowitzki's situation, where I'm taking a pay cut, but a guy like DeAndre Jordan commits to coming to Dallas, but stays with Los Angeles, so I gave up money for no reason? Heck no, man. Give me my money. I'm putting butts in seats. I'm bringing people to the arena. Unless a guy is committed to coming to that team and I take a pay cut and he already told me I'm coming, I'm not taking no pay cut. You got me chopped up. Come on now. Now, the Steelers and Buccaneers, good game, very exciting. Steelers were balling first half. entirely were on one in the first half. Ben Roethlisberger, I think he only had like 3 incompletions in the first half, with one of those being a pick, but that was it. He was entirely, they were killing it in the first half. Second half, different story. Entirely different story, where the Buccaneers ended up like reeling off 17 straight points unanswered to come back and just barely lose to the Steelers 30-27. So you could feel the pressure mounting for Steelers fans. They were getting very anxious. They felt like this one was about to be another one, which they were going to end up being 0-2-1. And you definitely do not want to fall to that kind of record, especially in that tough division. So I definitely give the Steelers credit for pulling out this win. It definitely takes a lot of resilience and fortitude to be able to pull out a win like that, despite almost blowing such a huge lead. I mean, they didn't score any points in the second half, so that's definitely a cause for concern after such a promising first half. But you definitely got to give your credit to them for just having that fortitude to win the game. They escaped Tampa Bay with this win. Tampa Bay was riding high as well. This was their first loss of the season. They were 2-0 until this loss. So you saw some things. Fitzmagic kind of evaporated some in the first half. He threw 3 picks in the first half. I mean, it wasn't good. One of those bounced off a guy's hands. Another one, it was a miscommunication between the receiver. But the other one, he just literally threw it right at the guy. Like, it was like, hey, guy, black and gold, you're my guy. And he just threw it right at him. So it wasn't not a good throw at all. But it's one of those situations. The Steelers are one of the better teams in the league. I think people are going to believe in the Steelers a lot more faster. They're going to believe in the Buccaneers, and the Steelers are just a better team. So when you see how eventually the Steelers are going to start reeling off wins to kind of get in that playoff mode of getting their record up so they can get home field, we're going to start seeing that coming in the next couple of weeks. Especially, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Le'Veon Bell situation, like I alluded to earlier. I think everybody's kind of waiting to see how that's going to play out. So, including those in Pittsburgh. So, we'll have to wait and see. But all right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up for the KBR Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Abbin. I appreciate everybody tuning in. But guys, remember, before I let you all go, make sure you tune into the KBR Sports Podcast. We're going on Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. That way you can get email notifications whenever the KBR Sports Podcast is streaming live or when a new episode is posted. And don't forget, go on BrendanAbbin.com where you can see episodes on my podcast, the blog, and other content I have on there where you can only find it on BrendanAbbin.com. So make sure you guys go and check out the new website. And also follow the KBR Sports Twitter page at KBR_sports, where links and topics are tweeted before the show, as well as following myself at Abbin Brendan on Twitter. So that way you guys can stay up to date with what I have to say as well on different sports topics. And then finally, y'all, please make sure y'all follow, like, and share your favorite episodes of the KBR Sports Podcast. I always appreciate the support from you guys. I always see how many of y'all tune in and everything, and it always means a lot. And I definitely appreciate that, y'all. So, of course, guys, make sure you give a comment so I can know what you all want me to talk about going into each week, because I always want to keep you guys included in what I'm talking about in the podcast. So I'm talking about what you guys want to hear and everything like that. I'm going to probably come out with I am going to be coming out with another episode, because that's kind of what I wanted to do, is have a more set posting schedule where I'm going to be having these episodes coming out on early in the week, middle, and then possibly weekend episodes depending on whatever the recording times and stuff I get are. So alright guys, until later on this week guys, I'm out.